Don't forget to like and share this broadcast with your friends and family on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. Let all of your friends and family know to subscribe so that you know when the Center of Hope is going live.
Glory, glory, glory. Hey, hallelujah. God is getting ready to do some big things in your life. If you believe it, say yay. He's about to do something big. Hallelujah. I can feel it. Oh, come on, y'all. Say, I believe. I believe. Yeah. That it's my season. Yes, it is. And I believe that it's my time. Oh, it's my time. Oh, I can feel it. 'Cause breakthroughs in the room. I love this part. Anticipating. Huh, you know why? 'Cause God's getting ready to move. For I know my God. Yeah. A miracle just for me. And it's gonna be big. Yeah, it's gonna be big, y'all. I can feel it. Yeah. It's gonna be. And it's gonna be big. Yes, it is. Why don't you declare that today? It's gonna be big, yeah. God's gonna open the windows of heaven. Pour me out a blessing. Won't have room to say. Yeah. And it's gonna be big, yeah. God's about to blow my mind. Yeah. God's gonna open the windows of heaven. Pour me out a blessing. Pour me room to contain it. Won't even try to explain it. It's gonna be big. God's about to blow my mind. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. God's about to blow my mind. God's about to blow my mind. Yeah. And it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. Said it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. My miracle's big. My situation big. My finances are big. The new job is big. And it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. Said it's gonna be big. The new job is big. My blessing is big. Your breakthrough is big. Your healing is big. Your breakthrough is big. Your destiny's big. Your healing is big. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. And it's gonna be big. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. God's about to blow my mind. Yeah. It's gonna be big. I can feel it. 'Cause God's about to blow my mind. Yeah. Everything I prayed for, everything I fasted for, everything I sold for, it's gonna be big. My destiny's big. My healing is big. Yeah. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. Yeah. Hallelujah. Glory.
It's gonna be big. God is gonna blow your mind. He's gonna open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, so there shall not be room enough to receive. I received that on tonight. I want to thank the Kohai Praise team for that introduction on this evening. How appropriate as we are moving into this new season, this new time. 5783 on the Jewish calendar. We have turned another year. And I believe that this is the year to continue, the year of continuance. And I'm so grateful that you have decided to continue with us another Monday night at 9 p.m. If it's Monday night and it's 9 p.m., it's time for real talk. Well, I don't want to waste another second. My co-host is here in the studio with me on tonight. His Grace, Bishop Liston Page II. Let's bring him in on this evening.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, Dr. Taylor and the Real Talk family.
Oh my God, here we go again.
I'm sorry, Bishop Taylor.
Here we go.
Mitch. Just Mitch. I call you Mitchell. Call me Listed. I'm going to call you Mitchell.
No, well, fortunately, I can call you Dr. Page, all right? And you can deliver on that academic accolade because it is more than accolade. It is a earned accomplishment. Man, welcome. Good to see you on tonight. This has been a long day.
Listen, and let me do this before we get started. Let me apologize. When you called me today, I was in a meeting with the African American Joint College of Bishops, and I meant to get back to you because I don't ever ignore your calls, but we were trying to put together this ministry of reconciliation.
Well, listen, if there was ever a time when we needed reconciliation, I believe the time is now.
Right.
And so, man, to God be the glory. Listen, it has been a long day, but I think it's been a productive day. Today, America is celebrating what has been dubbed as Columbus Day. And, when I was growing up, they talked about how people came on the Pinto and the Mayflower and discovered America. Well, I don't know how you could discover something what people was already occupying, but hey, to God be the glory, great things he has done. And so we call it Indigenous Peoples Day. And, it was a time for us, the second time that we marched from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn to the Brooklyn Bridge, to the Brooklyn Borough President's office, over the Brooklyn Bridge, up 2nd Avenue, over the 59th Street Bridge, and into Queensbridge houses, 14 miles. I marched last year. We did the march again this year. And it was a tremendous time of bonding and solidarity and building. And the theme of the march was, of course, human justice, human rights, human development, equal human justice. I want to just shout out Kay Bain and Dr. Pryor, who, Bishop Page, because Dr. Pryor was on our show.
Yes.
And he is the architect of a lot of the human justice framework that you see happening now around the country, but particularly here in New York City. And so shout out to those guys who did a fantastic job in planning such a Herculean event that was covered by national news outlets and local news outlets alike. And so we are grateful that we were able to join them in the Human Justice March on today. Also on tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., there'll be a homegoing service at the First Corinthian Church for Carmen Carr's sister, Alice, who went home to be with the Lord. And I won't be doing the eulogy, but I will be attending as soon as I get finished a prior commitment. The service begins at 10, and my associate, who is my son, whom I'm well pleased, Pastor Hassan Clark, will be standing in for me conducting the service and doing the eulogy. And I will get there as soon as I possibly can. But if I don't make it in time, he is well able to conduct and to present the eulogy on tomorrow morning. And the Center of Hope and our entire church family will be praying for the Lax and Mother Lax and her family. We've been praying and we'll continue to pray for them as they brave this untimely loss. And Sean J, our prayers go out to you. You lost your mom. Your children lost a grandmother. And so our prayers go out to you guys. And so, yeah, so many things that we want to say on tonight, so many things that we'd like to talk about that's in the news. You know, I'm looking at news feeds from Ukraine where, you know, their energy power plant systems have now been bombed, and a lot of Ukrainians are now in the dark, and at the beginning of their winter season will be without heat. There was also a significant roadway and bridges and domestic bombing that was done in Ukraine. I think so far 22 people have been reported dead. So we're praying for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. The Russian President Putin has doubled down and has put in a despot to lead the Russian army, and he's already started his antics and attacks. And so, listen, but I know one thing, that God is bigger than any war. He's bigger than any country. And at the end of the day, if God gets involved, you know, hey, listen, it's game on. And your arms, whoever your arms are definitely too short to box with God. And so our prayers are going out listening to our brothers and sisters around the globe, and also in Africa. You know, a lot of people don't talk about this. You know, we often, you know, this just goes mentioned. You know, the hundreds and thousands of missing women, young women between the ages of 12 and 24 years of age that are being abducted, you know, in Africa, and, you know, sold on, you know, the slave trade, or the sexual slave trade, or whatever it is that, you know what I'm talking about. The slave female trafficking is big, you know, and these women are sold all over the world, you know. And so we're praying for, you know, our children in Africa. And I'm praying and believing God to get back to Lagos, Nigeria before the end of this year. So Pastor Emmanuel Olumide, please be patient with me. I promise I'm trying to get back there before the end of this year. Maybe I can convince His Grace to come with me and go to Lagos on this year. So Bishop, I just wanted to just kind of empty myself of some of the things. Another thing that happened, T, I don't know if you have the ability to show the picture of the new sign on the church. So, you know, we've been waiting to put up this illuminated lit sign that says Center of Hope International. You know, one thing after the other. First thing was the material was held up because of the supply chain. So we were waiting for material to come in, right? Second thing, when they applied for the permit, we had some kind of violation. And so we had to clear up a violation, because I didn't want to put up this $10,000 sign and then the city say, take it down because you don't have a permit. So, you know, because it illuminates, it's lit. And so we went the right way and filed for the permit with the building department and whatnot, and found out we had a $6,000 violation. And, you know, I could have tried to fight it and say, you know, it wasn't, but then that would have held up the sign for another, you know, 6 months. So I said, forget about it. We paid $6,000 and finally got the sign up. And so I'm just so excited, because finally now you're not walking by a beautiful brick facade with beautiful glass doors and windows, and you say, what is that, a doctor's office? But you know now It is the Center of Hope International. And so the next thing that's going up is the illuminated cross that's going to tower over the top. And then over the executive door will be the plasma screen that you'll be able to see all of our announcements. And then during service, they'll be able to project the service on the video screen over the executive door. So we're trying to do things to enhance and to accommodate 21st century ministry. We're also embedding some speakers into the wall so that people can hear, you know, the word and the singing and whatnot. So we're just trying to just do something a little bit different, you know, as we have turned another page in the year, on the Jewish calendar at least, and just looking for what God is doing for us in 2023. And I'm just ready for ministry, man. I'm rolling up my sleeves, proverbial sleeves, and trying to get ready for the winter. People are coming back to church. I was pleasantly surprised, Liz, that we had our mothers march together. You know, we had about 4 of our mothers that came back to church on Sunday, and they all marched together. They wanted to surprise me, and I said, "Oh my God!" And they all marched down and gave me a hug, and it was just a feeling that I hadn't felt in a long time. And people are coming back to church. I mean, listen, people are coming back to church. We do a 9 a.m. and we do an 11 a.m. 9 a.m. is very small crowd, but the people that come love it. They love the fact that it's a small crowd. They feel, you know, personal and intimate. And really, I'm ministering to our virtual church at 9. And the people in the audience are there to eavesdrop. And then at 11, I minister to the people that are in the church. And then the virtual church can eavesdrop. So that's how we do that. So, you know, a little bit about what's happening at the Center of Hope, Bishop. Tell us what's happening in your world.
Man, listen, I'm like you. People are coming back, but I've been pleased since we've gone back in the building. We have had tremendous services, and the church, for the most part, have been scattered full. So I don't have much to complain about. The 10 a.m., we're still doing that totally virtual. My in-person worship is not virtual. It's totally in person. And then on Sunday night, you know, I'm back on the virtual platform. So me like you, I'm seeing people come back. I'm excited about them coming back. I'm excited about this new season or era, age of ministry, post-pandemic church. I'm excited about it because I think and what I feel is people that are coming back for a purpose. They're coming back with an intention to receive something. So I think church as we know it before, it won't be the same, but those that are there, they are expecting something different, and we're providing that.
Right. So I've been and I, you know, I certainly enjoy every morning. I don't know if you see when I come on, you're so involved in this past Sunday, man. You were preaching up a storm. I said, Lord have mercy, you know. And in between my 10 and 11, I jump on, you know, on the broadcast and share with you guys. And, you know, so, but, you know, what's been interesting, and this is nothing new. There was a young man, African-American brother. His name is Frederick J. Goodall. He's a blogger, writer, and he did a study on why men don't go to church. And it was interesting, and it kind of sparked something in me. And, you know, I began to ask, you know, gentlemen around my neighborhood and just impromptu, you know, why don't you go to church? You know, what is the main thing that stops you from or prevents you from coming to church? And, you know, some of them that have known me for many, many years, you know, I'm celebrating my 35th year of pastoring in Long Island City, between Astoria and Long Island City, and 4 years in Astoria and 31 years at my dad's church. And so a lot of times when guys are, answering me, they are answering me from a place of deference and never want to make me feel, I guess bad or small or whatever. And so I wasn't really getting a lot of honest answers about why guys don't come to church. But one guy, I spoke to him on yesterday after church, and I said to him, I said, listen, I'm writing this. I think I'm going to be writing a book on this, and I'm going to interview a lot of men and ask a lot of men why they don't come to church. I said, you wasn't in church, matter of fact. He said, Bishop, I was going, it's always, and I was coming. I was sitting in the back. You didn't see me. I had to run out. Somebody else told me I was in there twice. I ran in and ran out. What do you mean you were in there twice? So it wasn't like you came there for the event of the service. You just, you popped in, you in there twice. Well, if you come there once, you in there twice. Okay. All right. So there's a reason why. And, I read, a little short soliloquy that Frederick wrote, and I wanted to kind of share it. I'm not going to read everything he wrote, but I wanted to just read this, and maybe this will serve as a good runway for us to kind of broach this conversation. As you can see, the producers put together some artwork. The word men and the word church, the letters are going in opposite directions, because that's exactly what the male church, black male church experience has been, in opposite directions. And so this is what Frederick says: every Sunday, church pews fill up with despondent women who are forced to worship without the men in their lives. A recent survey by Ellison Research found that 31% of men never attend church, even on holidays. This sad statistic prompts parishioners and ministers alike to ask the question, where are the men? While it's true that several men spend their Sundays satisfying their vices for sports, beer, sleep, men that don't attend church usually have a more substantial reason for not attending. And here are a few of the ones that I want to just highlight. Their fathers didn't attend church. Many men give their sons the impression that church is not a place for real men by stereotyping Christian men as passive, weak, effeminate, henpecked, and these are all qualities no man desires, says Frederick Davis, assistant pastor of Alameda Church of Christ in Houston, Texas. As a result of their macho posturing, these men are inadvertently teaching their sons that church is only for women and wimps, and propagating new generations of unchurched men. A man's lackadaisical attitude towards church attendance can influence his children's perception of religion. This behavior is especially destructive if the man has a son. It's difficult for a mother to convince her son that attending church is important if her husband invalidates her argument by sleeping late on Sundays. I would always wonder, this is in quote, I would always wonder why my mom made me go to church when my father didn't. I didn't think church was important because my dad never thought church was important. A third thing is too many offerings. Fourth thing is services are too long. Fifth thing is they've lost faith in God or do not believe in God. Sixth thing is church is hypocritical. Seventh thing is, which I think is something that we should really look at, is church is insensitive to the needs of men. So I wanted to kind of use that, as a starting point for this discussion. I'm not sure, Jatan, how far we're going to get with this discussion on tonight, but I thought, Bishop, you being a scholar and having written several pieces, on church and mega churches in particular, and their effectiveness or lack thereof. And I thought that this would be a great opportunity for you to use that scholarship tonight, as you have done many times before, to help us understand, as real talkers, what is the dilemma? What is the deficit? What is the disconnect between men and the Black church?
Well, I think it's everything that you highlighted in that piece. There is another internationally known author, consultant, and theologian. His name is Dr. Joseph Matara. And he is a part of the U.S. Coalition of Apostolic Leaders and Christ Covenant Coalition. He's authored several books, and he has discussed this same issue in great lengths. And he says one of the reasons men don't come to church is that churches don't clearly articulate their vision. Men are generally task-oriented and motivated by vision and purpose. And many churches are not clear on what their vision is, what their purpose is. He says Sunday messages normally are more hype than practical teaching with substance. Men are often very cognitive and logical, and men crave practical teaching that will equip them to be better fathers, husbands, and businessmen. Sunday worship normally involves excessive displays of emotion, which makes men feel uncomfortable. Sunday worship is often 45 minutes longer than it has to be, because normally that 45 minutes over is fillers, announcements, things that are unnecessary to men. Sunday services too long, lengthy announcements, elongated verbiage that men deem unnecessary. Watch this. This is a real good one. Lack of male leadership. Seeing real male leadership emulated in church. We see the pastor who may be a male. We see a few elders who may be male, but even now, elders are not a gender specific title. Women also carry that title, males. Deacons, male and female. But by and large, when you go to charismatic church, Pentecostal church, you're going to see women in leadership. And men normally shy away from that type of presentation. Lack of male bonding, fellowship, men's discipleship. There's not a lot of outreach for men. And if it is, we're going to watch the game. We're going to play pool. We're going to do something recreational. But that's not real bonding. There's no real transparent conversations going on. Then you got the feminization of Christianity, which has caused numerous men to see Jesus and Christianity as a wimpy and effeminate religion. So there's several, layers with those things that I just presented that give us the framework for why men do not attend church. Now, me and you, we were raised in church, so we don't know anything but church. But if you get someone who is not raised in church and we're winning them to Christ, or we're bringing them into the sacred space, and it does not mirror what they deem or dub or characterize as maleness, they normally shy away from it.
Right. Now, you said something that was very significant. I wrote it down. You said now you talked about elders are not gender specific. Now you have women, that are elders, women that are in the diachronic, they're deacons, right? Deaconess, right? You have women that are pastors. And, you said that one of the reasons why is that men don't see, and you use this word, real. You didn't say they don't see male leadership. You said real. That is a reason why you use that to exclaim male leadership. And maybe it was just a play on words or tongue in cheek.
No. I think because the feminization of Christianity, that's when I talk about real male leadership. Christianity looks like more of a docile, female, effeminate religious presentation, opposed to male dominated, hard, whatever way you want to call it, whatever way society may frame it.
Well, then why is it then that in our Muslim counterparts in Islam, it doesn't seem like it is as docile, if I can borrow that phrase from you? I see more of a male dominant participation in that religious genre, if I can use that. Explain that.
Well, to be quite honest with you, we are a lot more inclusive in our thinking. We have become very pluralistic in terms of how we see religion, but also how we see sexuality and gender fluidity. And when you look at those other religions, particularly those in the Middle East, they don't have much tolerance for what we may tolerate in their sacred spaces. So you're not going to see it. I'm not saying it's not there, but it's not as overt as it would be in the charismatic and in the Pentecostal persuasions, in my opinion.
Right. Now, the other thing that I noticed in the Black church, in Black communities, it feels like, they are, our male Black brothers are drawn more to Islam and to that genre.
A radical. They like a radical religious presentation.
Well, not only that, I think that the Western world has created such a white watershed, of the presentation of the gospel. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Please correct me if I'm miss.
No. I think the watershed of Europeanization,
yes,
has caused there to be a misinterpretation of the Bible that we read and that we practice our religion out of. But that comes from that watershed of Europeanization, colonization, Westernization, Americanization. All of those watersheds, those defining moments, have reinterpreted the original text out of its original culture. So I don't know if that is why men don't go to church. I'm just basing it on the study of Joseph Matara, that these are things for us to consider. And I think by and large, in all of our churches, charismatic, Pentecostal, there are some that are outliers that have 50% men, 50% women, 52% women, 49% men. Those are staggering statistics and numbers, but there are some churches that carry that level of demographic. But that is an outlier. That is not the typical church.
So that's not the typical church, right? That's not the typical church. I mean, then we are typically doing something wrong, right? I mean, would we say that? I mean, would it be would you say it is our objective to reach the family, to reach the whole man? And I say, when you say the whole man, that's the husband, the wife, if that's a family component, children. I mean, male, female. Is this a gospel just for the female? I mean, so my point is, if typically, right, and typically we've seen the 80-20, 70-30, 60-40 at best, right? And you just kind of said 49-51, and those are outliers, I might even say anomalies. But so we're consistently doing something wrong.
I don't know if we're consistently doing something wrong. I don't know the answers to that. I just think that maybe we don't present a gospel of interest like maybe other religious factors do. I don't know what to call it. I think that what I do believe is that we don't highlight Christ enough. Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. Of course, he's talking about male and female. But I don't think our messages are Christocentric enough, in my opinion. I think that we need to go back to teaching Christ and Jesus Christ as Lord, and there is no other name given under heaven whereby a man and a woman, a boy and a girl can be saved. But at the name of Jesus, every knee must bow, every tongue must confess. He said, if you lift me up, if you exalt me, I'll draw. I don't think there's enough teaching and preaching on Jesus. We preach about ourselves. We preach about hope. We preach about faith. We preach about how to be prosperous, how to gain favor, how to be successful in the marketplace. But are we talking enough about Jesus?
Right. So, I mean, and yeah, I mean, and I think that, we're talking about, well, I mean, that's debatable. Okay. So we can, that's subjective, based on who evaluates or assesses who and what, right? But let's look at something else. You said something about the way we teach and what our appeal is, and you mentioned something about fathers, husband, businessmen. You talked about how ministry is tailored to minister to them. Is it a different setting that we have to create? You talked about, oftentimes when we do men's fellowships, is bowling, sports, and that's not really an act of bonding, because although it is some symbiotic type of bonding, right? Maybe a glancing blow in a sense, at least you're coming together. I mean, my thought is, what is it that you would say? I mean, I know you don't have a crystal ball. You don't have
I can only go by what the other statistics and the other hypotheses have shown us. Why men are not interested in church. Now, maybe we need to come up with a credo, a creed, a statement of faith that will attract them. But I still believe personally that if we talk about Jesus and what Jesus can do to change someone's life, I believe that people are going to be drawn to that. That's male and female. I mean, we can continue to put together all of these recreational facilities and recreational programs and outreach programs. But at the end of the day, why do we want men to come? We want men to come in order to be transformed. What's going to transform them? Jesus Christ. What's going to change their life? Jesus Christ. What's going to get them locked in? Jesus Christ. How we present Jesus Christ. So that comes from teaching, that comes from training, that comes from preparing, and it comes from modeling. Men need to see a model of someone that serves Jesus Christ unapologetically.
Yeah. I mean, and Bishop, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. To the utmost, Jesus saves. He will pick you up. He will turn you around. He will place your feet on a solid ground. And I think that a lot of us have been, pushing that message for a long time, but it does not seem to push the scales in a direction that is reflective of male ministry or effective male ministry. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it does something to my ego when I see more women than I see men. It asks me the question, what am I talking about? What's happening with me? You know what I mean? And when I talk to guys all the time, I think I'm a man's man. I think I know a little bit about football, enough to have a conversation. I know a little bit about baseball, enough to have a conversation. A little bit about basketball, enough to have a conversation.
But is it possible that maybe a little bit of football, basketball, baseball is not the bait that we should use in order to attract a man? I mean, is it possible maybe that we're using archaic thoughts that create archaic bait, and that is not really what man wants to hear today? He wants to know how to be a better father, a better brother, a better husband, a better businessman, a better man. And us talking about sports does not provide that. Maybe we need to change our bait and our conversation to attract men, because I don't think it's just regulated to sports or something that we would classify as being maleness, because there are women that also are interested in sports. I think you have to get into the cognitive psyche of a man. I think you got to speak to a man's mind and his heart, not just to his emotions. He needs some answers to issues. He needs you to give him a blueprint. He needs an architectural design. That's what a man needs. And maybe we're using the wrong bait by going through sports or going through what we think is a man's man conversation, if I could say it that way.
No, I think listen, you're helping me, because I am lost. I'm in a dark room with a candle that it feels like the wind is blowing out, and I'm trying to see my way. And I love my brothers, and I have great respect for them, and I know they have love for me and great respect for me. But that love and that respect has not translated into them sitting in those seats in my church. I'm just being honest. I pastor in the hood. I am the preacher in the hood. That's it. That settles it. That solves it. Matter of fact, and guess what? I'm not by myself. I represent hundreds of pastors that pastor in urban tracts all across America. And all of them, a lot of them, are probably asking the same question. They're on the other side of this live saying, Bishop, they got a pen. They're hoping that we give them, like my dad said, a pill that we can give to them. They can write us, and we'll mail them pills. And you could take these pills, and if you pop them in a man's mouth, and automatically they'll come to church. We don't have a pill. But people want it. What's the pill? What is the pill?
Again, the only pill I got is Jesus. that's the only pill
I get it. But obviously that is the source. That is what we are pushing. But it's being packaged.
That it goes back to the message. It goes back to the message. You
Right.
got to figure out a way to repackage your message. And it may not be through sports. It may not be through what we call the man's man conversation to get them interested in coming to church.
Right. I mean, if if you were just to think outside the proverbial box and you wanted to just help me, help your brother, help me. You don't need no help me. How do I go into my community tomorrow and begin to convince men that we need to work together, that we need you in? What do I need to do?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. Go out in your community and ask them what they need. Find out what they need.
Stop. That you do know what you do know. That's number one.
No. That's a shot in the dark. Ask them what they need, because as you so eloquently said it, your message in an urban setting is not drawing them. So you need to maybe ask them, what do I need to say that's going to interest you? What can I present to you that's going to cause you to come in this building? Or maybe some will never come to the building, but that does not mean that they're not going to be impacted by what you say. So I think I would start there. I would really start there. Find out what they need. What do you need to hear that's going to interest you enough to at least come in here and hear this message about Jesus, the euangelion, the good news. What do you need? What do you need me to give you in order for you to come here? And I think at the end of the day, all we have to give them is Christ, and of course, be a model of what we present.
Yeah, but you know what? You got much more. But see, Bishop, and I know you're saying that in your broad brushing, but you have the package that you're delivering is Christ, of course, but you have much more. You know, I'm saying that wrong. You have a lot along with what comes with this life-changing offer, all right, that was given to us, right, and that we're delivering. Along with that, there's some binaries, some powerful binaries that you as a man, you as a leader, you as an academic, you as an infuser of faith, you have something that men could benefit from. You know, you got something. You know what I mean? So it's not just, you know, the main thrust of our reasoning here, and that's to save the eternal souls of men and women. But, you know, along the way, I am come that men might have life. Stop. And that they might have it more abundantly. So we've got so much to give. So you set that up so perfectly. Let's figure out what men need. Real talkers, you heard that. You heard what Bishop Page said. Let's start with finding out, what do they need? So I challenge every pastor. Here's your homework. Go out into your community and start asking a few men. I challenge you, 10 men. Just ask 10 men. You could do this between now and next Monday. Ask 10 men, what do you need from me? Mm-hmm. What do you need from the church? What is your greatest need? What could I be addressing that is important to you? That's powerful, Bishop. I'm going to see if I can push you some more. Now, Bishop, that was great. We wanted, number one, let's find out what they need. Then, Bishop, now, after that, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else that we could shine the light on, something else that we could do as we're addressing men. What do you think that is? What we find out what they need, and then what? Then
provide it. You got to provide it. You ask them what they need, and you provide it. You provide a vehicle to get them what they need. Why ask them what they need and you can't provide it?
All right, right. Provide what they need. Provide what they need.
Ask them what they need, and then make provision to meet that particular need. Now, don't give them what you want, because obviously we have been giving them what we want, and it is not providing their need. So we need to give them what they want, provide them their need, if we have the ability and the capacity to do so. Now, if we don't, we have to outsource it to some agency or to some individuals that may have the resources to provide them what they need. But you find out what they need, then provide them with what they need.
This is good, Bishop. Bishop, you don't even realize how much you're helping me. You don't know. And I mean, listen, this is great. So find out what they need. All right. Find out what they need. And we're going to go back to this in a minute, and we'll probably come back to this next week a little bit too. And then secondly, after you find out, it's not rocket science. Do it. Provide it. Do it. It might be, as simple as whatever it may be. At my dad's funeral, there was a few guys, professional looking guys, that were huddled in the back of the church. And I walked up to him. I said, "Thank you so much for coming." I said, "I know you, but I've never seen you guys." And he said to me, he said, "Yeah, we loved your dad." He said, and one guy was joking. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why I ain't never come, because I always knew when he started, but I would never know when he's gonna end." You know what I mean? And I mean, these are old guys that are his contemporaries and what have you. You know what I mean? They loved him. They loved Bishop Moses Taylor. They knew when he was going to start the service out of their own mouth, but we never knew when he was going to end. Now, consequently, I have to agree with them. My dad was a marathon. He was a marathon. Listen, service started at 11 o'clock. Listen, to God be the glory if you out by 3 o'clock. You know what I mean? Because when he started preaching, there's a second gear and a third gear and a fourth gear. But, and he was so excited about this hope. He wasn't concerned about men not being interested in being in church 3 and 4 hours. He was from the school of, I was glad when they said unto me, and, but this is a different day now, and a day now where we have to reevaluate those pet peeves, and the day of just saying, listen, this is Jesus and this is it. That's it. And we listen, you got to stay here and deal. Listen, I was watching a show the other day, and I'm not promoting shows, but there's so much foolishness going on here under the name of the gospel. People playing games, and many of the reasons why men are turned off from our churches and ministries. A lot of shenanigans going on. George Bush said that sounds like some fuzzy math. But so I mean, but this is good. Provide, once you find out, provide what you find. Provide a platform for them to get their needs met. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Bishop, listen, we got to end this, but we'll come back to this on next week because I think that the real talkers, want to talk about this, and I like to really push this. We got a surprise for them on next week as we go into this thing with men. But I'd love to hear some laymen, kind of talk, from their, perspective of why it is, where are they at, and maybe if we opened up the phone lines, we can get some people so they don't have to be seen on video. They wouldn't mind talking on the phone line and just sharing, because I think that men, I think men want to be a part of a movement.
I think finding out what they need, providing what they need, and then getting them to buy into organization. But the reason that they don't buy into one normally is men operate well out of a regiment, consistency. And we have to find a way to keep men locked in. And we keep them locked in by having strong follow-up and being consistent with what we present. Men don't like inconsistency. Even though many of them are inconsistent, they don't like inconsistency. Most men are not what you would consider to be proactive. Some of them are looking before they actually get involved. So we have to present something from what they need, provide them with what they need, and let them feel that they're a part of it and that we're really concerned about them and not just the entity. Because sometimes we promote the entity more than we show them that we're concerned about them as a person. We want to see your development as a man. We want to see your development as a brother. We want to see your development as just a good human being. Then we want to see you functional as a husband or a relationship. Then we want to see you functional in terms of work ethic, being a lifelong learner, educating yourself, learning how to express yourself in positive ways and not destructive ways, not violence, not through trauma. Those are things men have to see presented and modeled in order for them to have confidence in it.
Wow. Well, Bishop, I mean, this I couldn't have said any of what you said any better. I think that you have laid out for the real talkers tonight a real prescription that we can take to the pharmacy, and get it filled. We've got at least 3 salient points. Number 1, find out what men need. Number 2, provide it. And number 3, get them to buy into what they want provided. Mm-hmm. Get them to be a part of it. Those are 3 great points that we highlighted tonight as we talk on the subject of men and church, or the lack thereof. Listen, it's time to give on tonight. And as you know, here at Real Talk, we believe God for every conversation, for every communication, and for every dialogue, because we're not here. We want to make sure that what we give folks is biblical, is sound, it's common sense. And listen, just because it's common sense is not common. And so I thank God that we have this platform on tonight to be able to share our heart and to share from a biblical, foundational perspective of real life, real talk issues. And so on tonight, I want all the real talkers on tonight to follow me with a seed tonight. All real talkers, follow me with a seed tonight of $22. $22. If everyone on this live tonight would sow a seed and put in the comment section, done, God will be glorified. Heaven will be advanced and enlarged. Why? Because it will give us the resources to preach this gospel, to provide these platforms. And listen, there's some folks that need to know about this fusion between men and the church, or lack thereof. There are people that need to know and to be a part of these discussions and these dialogues, and they appreciate it, and they are willing to sow into that on tonight. So I'm asking you tonight, as we are coming to the end of our dialogue, yes, thank you, Mother Grace. They said this was real talk. Thank you. This was real on tonight for you. Please make it real in your giving on this evening, and sow your seed of 22 on tonight. I believe that God will bless you for the same. The ways to give are on the screen: $ the Kohi Nation, PayPal or Zelle. You can use kohigives@gmail.com. I need every one of you that are watching. Thank you, Kathleen Mayton, for your seed of 22 on tonight. Thank you, Michelle Smith, for your seed of 22 on tonight. Thank you, Barbara, for your seed of 22 on tonight. Thank you, Yvonne East, for your seed of 22 on tonight. Patricia Ford said, Bishop Page, those were great points. Great points. Every one of you that are watching, thank you, Kathleen. Great points. Mother Gladys Gray, thank you. Bishop Page, thank you for doubling your seed on tonight. I think I'm going to follow you on tonight and double my seed. I'm going to sow the $44 seed on tonight. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Bishop Page just set a precedent for me. So I got, listen, that's 2 of us. That's 44. 8 more people join us and just close that loop and sow that seed of 44 along with the masses that will sow the 22. Christine Scott, thank you for your seed of 22 on tonight. Those of you, those 8 people that can join me and Bishop Page and sow the seed of 44, sow that on today. I believe 10 is the number of completion, and I believe that God is completing some things in our lives. Ella Bass, thank you for your seed of 20.
Bishop, not to cut you off, but I think those other 8 people need to put some inference and intent on the seed, because I believe our men, our young men, are suffering from some mental illness challenges. And I think that we should sow into the healing of that tonight. I really believe that. I don't think it's by accident that we had this conversation about men. I really believe that we need to take the high road, if I can use that term, go to the high road and pull those men up to that place where they were predetermined to be by God. Not greater than a woman, not above women in that respect, but to be what God has called them to be, which is kings, and to be priests, and to be leaders, and to be responsible, to be husbands, to be fathers. I really believe that's what God is calling for us to do. And I'm so grateful that we were able to tap into this subject matter on tonight. I've fallen in love with a show that I've been watching on social media called Paternity Court. And I watched one episode, and it's so addictive, but it's addictive to me because just to watch our young men father children and not have to don't know if they're the father or not, and go through paternity, and some know they have gone, have had unprotected sex with these young ladies, and not being responsible. I think that we need to change that narrative, and these type of discussions will help us to do that. These type of points and insights and answers, I think they're going to help these men that listen to this, even the sisters, because I know sisters think that they can make a man. I still believe it takes another man to bring the best out of another man, to help that young man model what it's like to be a man. So I think that we need to really sow our seed in hopes that God answers our prayer through the seed.
That was so eloquently said, and it's so true. It's so true. It's so true. So true. I want those other 8 people to sow. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, there were a couple of people that did that already. There's 6 more people. Sow the $44 seed with me and Bishop Page on tonight. I want to thank those other 2 people that chimed in already. There's 6 other people that want to sow the $44 seed. Sow that $44 seed on this evening. And then, of course, I've asked everyone to sow a seed of 22 on tonight. You know, Bishop, it's, I want to thank the producers and the creatives, of the show, because it would be impossible for us to be able to, come up with all this content and come up with all the talking points and whatnot. They make us look good. They produce all these beautiful images and whatnot and topics for us. I want to thank the producers and the creatives that help us every week at Real Talk, and to really be a blessing to all of our viewers on tonight. Come on, guys. Let's continue to sow those seeds on this evening. As you're sowing, put done in the comment section. We're asking for a $22 seed. And then the Spirit just kind of jumped in there with a $44 seed. And so those of you that want to jump in with us with the $44 seed, you can do it on this evening. Okay. All right. Listen, this has been a powerful, powerful conversation. Somebody said, thank God for Frankie and Talisha. That's right. Thank God for Frankie and Talisha.
Well, you know what? I have to say, Talisha is just, Talisha was the one who was really the pace setter for this 3 years ago, helping us get it off the ground. And I thank God for Frankie and Trinity. I've been blessed with 2 producers that do a tremendous job. I could not do it without them. You're right. All I do, show up. They set the camera, the lighting. All I do is show up with my Bible and my notes, and boom, they do all the hard lifting. But I'm appreciative, but watch this, that we have a man in the mix. We got men in the mix helping produce the program. And that is important, that we have collaborative effort, a collaboration, partnership, men and women. And I think that's what we really want to see. We want to see more men come and be a part of the ministry along with the sisters. I think that's the ultimate goal.
And you know what? I think, I just, we're talking about men. God bless Talisha, but I can't leave out her husband, who is the creative director on the set. He's always pushing the creative envelope. Sean, I want to thank you for the creative. Talisha will put something together and Sean say, nah, we can do better than that. We can do better than that. He's like, I'll be like, oh, that's great. Cause I don't want to be pushing, I'll say, oh, that's awesome. Sean will be like, nah, you could do better than that. Well, listen, he's the husband. He let her get mad at him. Don't get mad at me. But I love that. So I love, another example of, find something that men, want to do and be involved in. He's involved in, directing music and putting things together and all that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that he wants to do. When I look at the men that come to the musician pit every Sunday and for rehearsal during the week, whatever, these are men, and, the fact that they're hearing the word, they're playing in service to the Lord, we don't know what God is doing in the lives of these men. We don't know how, where they would be if they weren't receiving this word, and so, I'm just grateful for, the men that we have. All right. I'm still waiting for the rest of those seeds. Joy Dawn said, thank God, Bishop Mitchell Taylor, thank God for the pandemic. What the devil meant to use to take us out, God used to do more. Let me see. I got to read the rest of that. Reach more souls. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Odessa. Odessa's following us with a $44 seed on tonight. Thank you. Wow, if we had 5 more, I think we'd have the full 10 on tonight with the $44 seed on this evening. If you're sowing either the 22 or the 44, just put done in the comment section. We'll come back on next week and talk more about men, with men, for men, to men. And we pray that it will be a blessing to your life. Thank you so much for joining us. Bishop, any final words?
Man, listen, this has been rich. And I pray that we can get more brothers involved on next week and get their perspective, because it's great to hear the perspective of men. But if you do statistics, women have more word in their word bank than men have in their word bank. So that means women communicate more than men normally do. We need to change that narrative. We need to get men who don't mind articulating, even if they can't express themselves with the same eloquence as other men. They need to be heard. Men need to be heard, seen and heard, because we need that presence.
Wow. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you. You know, and let me just let our men know too, is if I can just add this. When I hear our men talk, and they blow me away, the knowledge and the insight. Thank you, Christine, for adding another 22. Thank you. They, you know, the insight that they have and their perspectives is mind-blowing. You know, we have some intelligent Black men, and they need to just express. They need to let it out. Just come on. I mean, these are gifts that are needed in the earth.
Yeah.
And I think that God's going to use us, Bishop, to encourage our men to, you know, come to the fore, come to the front, and be the leaders that God has called them to be, and lead from the front. You know, we have a lot of men that lead from the back. You know, they lead from a place of obscurity. But I'm saying to them, let's lead from the front. Let's lead from a place of visibility, and let God be glorified in our lives. All right. Well, listen, those of you that are watching this after we have aired, you may be watching the rerun. The same effectiveness, efficacy, I believe, that was in the live presentation is in the rerun. That's why you're being blessed. And so, having said that, we need you to sow a seed of 22 or a seed of 44, and I believe that God will bless you for the same. Listen, don't forget, we're on every Sunday for our worship experience. Every Sunday, I'm on at 9. Bishop is on at 10. You can catch both of us because I'm on at 9 and I'm off at 10:01, 10:02, 10:05 the latest. Bishop is warming up. He gets on at 10. You have enough time to move over to him. And then we have our Bible study during the week. Bishop has Bible study on Wednesdays at 7, right here on YouTube and Facebook. And so join us on Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, we have the Friday night encounter, the Highway Friday night encounter at 7. And then we have the Fall of the Prophet at 9. And I've been doing one-on-one with the Fall of the Prophet. You're going to be blessed this week. I surprised you last week. We had Bishop Brian Keith Williams. Tremendous time. And you don't want to miss my one-on-one this Friday night at 9 p.m. All right. I've finished. People don't want to go home, but you listen. You ain't got to go home, but you got to leave out of here. God bless you, Real Talkers. We love you, and we look forward for seeing you next week. Look forward to seeing you on next week at 9 p.m. God bless you.